everyone. I'm sitting here with Christina at Zoe's House Adoption Agency, and I have started a campaign because I want to bring awareness to the birth mom journey. And I wanted to talk to Christina so that we could find out more about what she does here at Zoe's House. Christina?
Yes. So I am the expectant mother coordinator for Zoe's House Adoption Agency. Zoe's House is a faith-based private adoption agency. We work with adoptive families anywhere in the United States, and we work with expectant moms who live anywhere in the states of Kansas or Missouri. My role is to work underneath our social workers, providing emotional support and case management for expectant moms, expectant couples who are considering adoption for their child. I help to put together the idea of what their needs are, how we can help to meet their needs, how we can help to connect them to resources, as well as providing as much emotional support as I can throughout their entire pregnancy and for as long afterwards as they will let us to continue to stay in their life and offer support to them.
Wow, I love that.
I do too. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I just want to know if there is any further details that you can give us about the journey of the birth mom. Like, how does that play out?
Yeah, so I think that when we are talking about adoption, when you hear the word adoption, you have thoughts that just pop into your head. And maybe they're positive, maybe they're negative. Maybe you think of someone you know who is adopted. Maybe you think of friends that you have who have adopted children. Maybe you're thinking about foster care and you actually don't know anything about private adoption. Maybe you're thinking about international adoption, which is entirely different than domestic private adoption, which is what this agency does. So, but when I say that word, when you hear that word, immediately thoughts pop into your mind. And you might not even know where those thoughts are coming from. You might not know if those thoughts are rooted in facts, if the emotion you feel related to that word is rooted in facts. You might not know if the emotion you feel is related to stories that you've heard or someone else's experience that you know about, or there's just a thousand different places that those thoughts and emotions can be coming from. And you might not know what they are, but I find that most often our immediate thoughts and feelings and shared experiences related to how we feel about adoption might not be rooted in truth or in fact. So I think that what's helpful when we're talking about adoption is to talk about relatable experiences that everyone can understand.
Yes.
There is just no black and white, cut and dry, this is the type of woman who places a child for adoption. That kind of a definition doesn't exist because I was sharing with you earlier, I'm the youngest of 4 children. There are 4 of us in 5 years. So I'm the youngest. My oldest brother's birthday is the same week as my birthday, and we are exactly 5 years apart.
Wow.
So my blessed mother had a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a newborn. That means that we all just grew up in a clump. We kind of experienced life together. We experienced most of our childhood very connected because we're so close in age. But even though we're so close in age, each one of us has an incredibly individualized perspective of our childhood, of those shared life experiences. We all have different unique emotional makeup and ways of processing information and ways that we would even tell the same stories. We would tell them differently because we experienced them so individually. And that's the kind of individuality I'm talking about with a birth mother. I think in the last 3 years, I've met with close to 60 to 70 pregnant women or women who are considering adoption. And not a single one of them is exactly like another. They are incredibly different, and they each come from this unique background, this unique storyline that led them to reaching out to me for incredibly different reasons, out of
Right.
incredibly different emotional places, with incredibly different motivations. Each story is so nuanced and so individual based on that individual person's life, based on the father of that baby's life.
Right.
So there's just no easy, this is the woman we're talking about. The woman we're talking about could have been me. The woman we're talking about could have been you.
Right.
The woman we're talking about, maybe any person watching this video, or at least could be any person watching this video. So what's helpful is to talk about relatable things that everyone can understand.
Right.
And the first one that I like to mention is a woman who's considering adoption is pregnant or has just given birth to a child, but she is experiencing an unexpected, radical life change for any number of reasons. She did not expect to be pregnant, or she did not expect to be caring for a child on her own. And there's 1,000 different reasons that could be.
Right.
But the bottom line is she did not expect this pregnancy. She was not prepared for this pregnancy. She's not prepared to raise this child, or at least she thinks she's not. So that's one place that we can all really find common ground. Unexpected life changes that change everything very individually for you. And that could look like losing your job unexpectedly. It could look like getting into a car accident that changes things for you. It could look like suddenly having a rare disease or catching a virus that develops into something else that happens very fast and utterly changes your life. And it was unexpected and you're not prepared for it. You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know what tomorrow looks like. You don't even know what right now or today looks like.
Right.
That's something that every one of us can relate to. Every one of us has experienced some crisis in our life like that, something we weren't prepared for, we didn't expect, but it is real, it is here, and now here I am having to look this thing in the face and say, what do I do in light of this radical life change that I just did not see coming, that I do not feel equipped to deal with? What do I do now? And being in that place of facing this unexpected thing that I'm not prepared for, that I don't feel equipped to do, is immensely isolating. So again, regardless of who she is, regardless of what her life is like, what her family culture is like, what her race is, regardless of where she's coming from that leads her to our door, every woman who steps through that door feels incredibly isolated in their situation. Again, it comes down to that unexpected thing that's hitting me on such a personal level. From the moment I got that news, now everything about my day, everything I see, everything I take in, everything I do is coming through that lens of this sudden, radical life change that I feel unequipped for. And that's so isolating. It's so, it feels so vulnerable. And the difference with pregnancy versus suddenly losing your job, or maybe becoming sick, or having a car accident. The difference with pregnancy is that my sudden life change is incredibly transparent. Everybody can see it. And now this woman who's already feeling vulnerable, she's already feeling isolated, she's feeling unequipped, she's maybe afraid, she's confused, she doesn't know what to do tomorrow, let alone today, let alone however many months from now, when there's another little life here that has to be cared for. All of a sudden, that woman is immensely subject to the opinions and the suggestions and even the gaze of every single person she comes into contact with. Because something about pregnancy invites interaction. And any woman who's been pregnant, and I've never been pregnant, but like I see it with all my friends, it's like perfect strangers want to talk to you about your private life and your life choices. Like, what are you going to do?
Touch your belly.
They're going to touch your person.
Right.
Like, at any other time, is it appropriate to walk up to a perfect stranger and just like place your hands on them? No,
Right.
that's weird. But something about pregnancy, it's so transparent. It's so just like, look, here it is, you know, that it invites interaction even from perfect strangers. So for a young woman who wasn't expecting to be pregnant right now, here she is. Here she is with this big belly everybody can see. Everybody knows. And so this isolating thing that is a part of every waking moment, this thing that she's trying to think everything through the lens of this situation that she's not prepared for, is now at the mercy of the thoughts and opinions of every single person. The mercy of the checkout person at the grocery store asking questions. Oh, how far along are you? Is it a boy or a girl? Are you going to put them in daycare? What are you going to do at your job? I mean, perfect strangers asking intimate life questions that, like, you might not even, I mean, just in no other situation would that be appropriate.
Right.
But here's this woman who's already isolated, feeling very vulnerable, very conflicted, doesn't know what she's going to do with this radical life change. And now her radical life change is at the mercy of every single person she comes into contact with.
Right.
And maybe they're not going to say something, but she's going to experience the effect of nonverbal communication about her pregnancy with every person she comes into contact with. She's going to see people look at her stomach and look at her hand and look at her. And they might not say something judgmental, but just that experience happening over and over and over, day in and day out, throughout all the months of that pregnancy, adds to that immense vulnerability and that immense isolation. And again, those are things that everybody can go, oh my gosh, I've felt some measure of what that girl is talking about related to something that happened in my life, related to something unexpected, or relating to something dramatic or traumatic that happened to me where I felt so vulnerable. I felt so at the mercy of people's opinions, people's unwanted suggestions about my life that I just have to kind of grin and bear day in and day out for the entirety of this pregnancy. You add to that, taking it a step further, for a woman who actually does decide to make an adoption plan, place a child for adoption, now she has that continue after birth, when the child is not there and people are asking questions. So it's just an incredibly isolating, vulnerable, and undesirably transparent situation where these women are really just subjected to the thoughts, feelings, emotions, suggestions, opinions of every single person who sees them. And that's an incredibly hard place to be in. It's an incredibly lonely place to be in. It's confusing and conflicting. And what do I do now? What do I do with all the information I'm receiving? What do I do with all of the suggestions that are being made to me about my life? It can feel really swirly and out of control. And what all of these women need, despite again, all of those dynamics of culture and family and race and age and whether or not they're in college, whether or not they have a career, they're homeless, it doesn't really matter. What every single one of them need is a safe place where they can be vulnerable and feel no shame, where there's no judgment being cast on them. Yeah, it's
no
real.
shame.
No shame. Because what they're feeling every single time they have that experience of walking down the sidewalk, getting their coffee, standing in the grocery store, you're going to the lunchroom at work.
Right.
That even when there's nonverbal communication, that experience of watching the person look at their stomach, look at their hand, look in their face, or even just look at their stomach and look at them, it just heaps the shame upon them. The confusion they're already feeling inside about this a pregnancy they weren't prepared for, it just gets increased and increased and increased with every one of those verbal and nonverbal interactions. The pressure that they're feeling increases that amount of shame, and so what they need is a safe place where they can go, oh my gosh, here I am, and here's this situation I don't know what to do with, and I don't know that I want to make this decision, but I know that I need to consider all of my options here, and I don't really want you to try to convince me to make this decision. I just need someplace safe to ask questions.
Right.
To have a safe place where they will be treated with dignity, treated with honor, communicated to in a level that's not shameful to them. And I was sharing with you earlier, one of the incredible things we get to do is look at these women in this vulnerable place and say things to them like, you should never be ashamed of being pregnant. I mean,
right.
Your body is doing the thing that a woman's body is made to do. It's natural. It's right that your body would do this now. I mean,
right.
There's just nothing to be ashamed of. And trying to help them to feel like a confident individual who has ownership over their life, who can make confident decisions, who can take in information and be well informed and become equipped to make one of the hardest decisions of their life, whether or not they're going to parent this child they weren't prepared for, or whether or not they're going to place this child for adoption.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm just so thankful for Christina coming with me today to be able to give you this little insight. It's a small insight into the Birthmom's journey, and I really appreciate your time, Christina.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. I love to talk about
it. It's amazing. I've just been educated myself in sitting here with you, and I hope that you out there have been helped in some ways to understand a little bit more about this journey of adoption, not just on the adoptive side, but on the beginning of the journey with the birth mom. So my heart, and this is what I brought to Christina, and I asked her if she would be willing to journey with me in this campaign, is that there would be an awareness made of this process from the start all the way through. And how I want to do that in my heart is to bring tangible gifts to the birth moms, just to say, you are worth it. You are valued.
Yes.
You are loved. And it doesn't matter how you got here. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter. Nobody here is judging you. And so I'm just asking if you feel something to partner with us in this desire, in this gift-giving season of even November is like Thanksgiving, Yeah. I mean, it's like so many reasons to be giving, right? But it's also Adoption Awareness Month, and so that's what spurred this on. And I'll just give you a little view of the gifts that we want to have you participate in giving. It would be this little, let me see how we do this cute. Here. This little poof, it's called a poof. It's a little bag. It's like, right?
Sorry, I'm fine.
It's a cute little bag, and it would hold a couple of pieces of jewelry and then a long-wearing lipstick system here. So that's what we're doing. We want to give these little bags, and these earrings are one of the jewelry. It's just a simple sparkle stud and this bracelet here. And it just has a little thing in the back that pulls so it can fit a lot of sizes of wrists. So it's going to be good for everyone that receives it, will be able to wear it. And I'm hoping that this will just say to them that we love you, that we appreciate you, we honor you, and we want to give you dignity, because it is not a shameful thing. It's not a shameful thing. It's a difficult process. It's a journey, but that's what we want to do here, is that in this whole adoption process, that we want to make everybody aware of the full process. Yeah. From start to end, and in reality, it doesn't end, right?
Because it doesn't end. I mean, the idea that, in adoption, we love babies.
Right.
We love babies growing up in families where they are loved and cherished and valued. We love that. But being able to also kind of widen that picture, widen that lens to include this birth family, these other individuals, these mothers, who also we want to be loved and valued and cherished. And these women, after having made this incredibly self-sacrificing
Right.
decision out of a place of pain, out of a place of grief, even when they are able to see their child being loved and honored and cherished, they still feel grief in an ongoing way. So that support that we give to them throughout their pregnancy, when we're speaking dignity and value and confidence into these people, we want to continue to do that for years. We want to continue to communicate to them honor and dignity and value, and you still matter.
Right.
And your pain over this choice still matters. And so no, a gift bag isn't going to take away that pain.
Right.
But just that tangible gift of we see you. We see you, we still see you, we honor you, and we honor the immense gift that you gave. We honor the life of this child, and you having carried this child for 9 months and then making this incredible decision to place this child in a family where they will be able to have a life that you didn't feel that you can give to them. We want to continue to honor and value and give dignity to. And so I love this idea of, in National Adoption Month, being able to kind of help to widen that lens a little bit, to include these women. And I love the idea of being able to give them this just beautiful little gift that's very, even these jewelry pieces, they're not like color specific, it's not style specific, it's something that, despite anybody's preferences or styles, that they're simple but they're beautiful, and it just is a sweet gift. It's a sweet blessing. So I loved the idea, and I'm just so psyched you want to do it. I love getting to partner with you.
Awesome. Me too with you. Thank you so much, Christina, for being here. We're gonna say bye now, but I wanted to say thank you for watching this video, and please feel free to share it and invite your friends and anybody that you know that would be interested in partnering with us in this gift giving campaign. Just share it with them, share it with everybody, spread the word.